Greetings and welcome, my friends. This is Blink Twice 2, the ever so slightly modified sequel to the original that was one of our best performing decks from the Lorwyn season. We're rolling in with a minor tweak that gives us a bit more blink for those games when we want to hammer the opponent with our Enter's play abilities. It's difficult to improve on a deck that was already doing very well, so the addition comes in the form of a pair of turtles from the recent Turtles the Gathering set. Let's get the shell in there. We're playing the full set of Airbender Ascension. This is our primary Blink package, but we've added a card to help us out in this department. The goal is to get an Ascension or two in play, then load them up with quest counters to start the Blink process. Once we can use the Enter's play ability of our men multiple times, we can generally take over the game. The Terminus of Return is a mana artifact early. Then later in the game, we can exile one of our men to harness the power of the Terminus. Once harnessed, we'll get one of our men back from the grave at the beginning of each of our turns. It's another great way to get those Enter's play abilities from our men a second or third time, and more if they're killed off. Kutzil's flanker is the first of our men. When he enters play, there are 3 different Enter's play abilities to choose from. Most of the time, we'll want to use the Scry and Life Gain option, as that can help us find other cards we might need. But against opponents attempting to use the grave for their benefit, we can exile their entire graveyard. Against opponents who use sweepers to wipe our full board, the first ability can put the hurt on them if they've tapped out. Thanks to the flanker's flash ability, we can get him in at instant speed and surprise the opponent. They never see it coming. Clifftop Lookout is a small body that comes with a bit of ramp. The land he fetches us out could be anything we have in our deck, so he can find non-basic lands of which we have plenty. Reclamation Sage has a fantastic Enter's play ability. When it arrives, it will destroy an enchantment or artifact. With this, we have the ability to destroy nearly every type of permanent the opponent might play out. Combine that with any blink action we have, and we could easily neutralize plenty of the opponent's weapons. The end is our targeted removal for enemy men and planeswalkers. When we hit an enemy with it, we will get to exile it and all other copies of it from the opponent's hand, grave, and their deck. Hitting an enemy could cripple an opponent's strategy, and repeated uses of the end could weaken their ability to continue to battle. Plus, we have a few more ways to snipe opposing cards that could give us the edge. Deadly Cover-Up is a sweeper first and foremost, but when we collect evidence, we can snipe a card and all copies of it right out of the opponent's hand, grave, and their deck. It's another card that we can use to cripple an opposing strategy and wipe out a key card for the remainder of the game. You didn't really need that, right, bro? Wrench, Speedway Saboteur, has an amazing Enter's play ability. When Wrench enters, we look at the top 9 cards of an opponent's deck and take 2 cards. This lets us rip key cards right out of their deck, and then we can use those cards against them. With repeated blinking of our beloved Wrench, we'll steal even more cards to gain a bigger and bigger advantage. Dawn and Leo, Problem Solvers, is the newest addition. While the deck ran fine without the turtles, this does give us a way to blink our men when we're not able to use our Ascensions. But if we get an Ascension, these turtles can help us get 4 quest counters on our key enchantments and get to blinking more and more of our men. Odin is not just removal, but win con by himself. We'll get to snipe an enemy when he enters, and on our next turn, when he goes up to Chapter 2, he'll gain an instant kill ability that gives us the W if he hits the opponent. If we're not able to get through for damages, we can blink Odin for more enemy sniping and we'll reset this counters back to 1. If we can't get through, we can keep trying. The Rise of Sozin is our top-end enchantment. When it enters, we destroy all men on board. When it goes to Chapter 2, we get to name a card and exile 4 cards with that card name from the opponent's hand, grave, and their deck. We can rip out important cards or anything that might disrupt our blinking strategy. And because we are a blink deck, blinking Sozin once he arrives as one of our men will give us the saga and another round of board clearing action. Then on our next turn, we name yet another card. Crippling the opponent is what we love to do. It's like the opponent showed up without win conditions. Good luck with that, bro. For lands, we're playing 4 Fabled Passage, the special land we can sacrifice to fetch out any basic land. 2 Restless Cottage, the Golgari Man land. 4 Bleachbone Verge, the swamp that becomes a dual when we have a swamp or plains in play. 2 Forest. 3 Ba Sing Se, the special land we can use to earthbend one of our lands. 5 Swamp. And 4 Plains. Playing the deck does take some patience as we tend to have a slower start. Half our deck is 2 and 3 mana cards, but the other half is 4 to 6 mana. And being in 3 colors does tend to give us complications. But in general, the deck will function fine as long as we have 1 of each of our colors. But we'll want to get double black quickly, as the majority of our 4+ mana cards are double black. The Terminus is situated perfectly to help us out, since it will provide us with double black when we get one out early. The Flanker's Scry ability is particularly useful as we can improve our draws by sending down cards we don't need, or pull a card to the top if it's something we want. In a deck without dedicated card draw, that could be a game-saving ability. Overall, the deck feels rather simple to play, with the complications coming later when we can fire off the end or one of our sweepers. If you're comfortable with knowing when to fire off a sweeper or not, then the deck is rather easy when playing it. Always have an idea of which card you'll want to name even well before firing off a Rise of Sozin. The ability to rip out an entire card and deny it from the opponent is very powerful. That's the deck, boys. Let's go play some games.
Do you want to play a game?
This is Darth Lex. He's rather confused as to which universe he's in. Keep your pants on, bro. This is a family show. The original Blink Twice didn't get to play games in Diamond rank, but the sequel did. And now we get to find out how well it would do. This hand was an easy keep. We have 1 of each of our colors, along with a Terminus and a couple of our 3 drops. We keep drawing lands, which is fine. Half our deck is 4 mana or more, and with what we've got now, we can play everything out. Color requirements have been met too. They play out an Annex. Demon Orzhov is what this is. That's good for 1 whole card and 2 points to the face, but that's it. On our turn, the Sage is going to come in and clean this up nicely. They drop a Demolition Field and they quickly eyeball our Ba Sing Se. We do have another one, so losing the first is not all that horrible. Or maybe they thought we play minimal basics. They follow up with a Betrayal to take out our Sage and the Ba Sing Se in our grave. He's already mad and he hasn't even seen half our deck. They drop in another Demolition Field, so we'll want to try to bait them into using it on something other than our Ba Sing Se. You know, these guys don't bother thinking through things. They fire off an Ancient Vendetta. Usually you want to have seen more cards than the few we've played so far, but they probably want our Sages gone. The first one hurt them bad. In a twist of fate, they name Ba Sing Se. We'll fire back with our flanker. We'll use the Scry and life gain option to set up our future draws. That's a land and a Rise of Sozin on top. We can skip on the land. We have 6 mana already. Let's send it. We're ahead on board, and we can push damages through. Damages, bro. Damages. We'll drop in Odin. There's no enemies to snipe, but they're going to need a removal or drop this game on our next attack. They must be kind of new. It doesn't seem like they've even seen Odin before. They drop in a core, the beloved new toy of demon players all over the world. We draw an Ascension, but business comes first. We'll send it, and they're going to need a removal or exit this game in disgrace. They do have a removal. It kind of feels like they pulled it out of a hat. Anyways, the flanker can still get the shell in there. We'll drop in our second Odin, and like the first, they're going to need a removal for it. Good thing they nailed Ba Sing Se. What a nightmare that would have been. Right, boys? They play out a Camel Toes. It does have Indestructible, which means we won't be able to kill it. They follow up with a Cease to enable their Camel Toes to jump in the way of attacking men, so they have a blocker. Then they hit us with another Betrayal. Our friend, the flanker, will take the fall for this one. We'll hit their Camel Toes with our Ascension and clear the way for Odin. With them tapped, they can't do a thing about it. Taste the feet, they will. Am I saying it right, bro? That's GG's. Extra Odin cheese. This is I Am Hurt. Just wait until we actually start playing, bro. We get a 3-lander, and thanks to the passage, we will have at least one of each of our colors. While we have mostly top-end cards, the Ascension is a good delay tactic. We'll give it a shot. Keep your pants on. We'll go with the planes. I kind of want to see what we'll draw before we try going with the passage. They hit us with a Bolt Wave. Generally, Burn has a tough time getting the job done in the current standard. They need us to stumble, and they'll want to have a good hand. They go with a Challenger. It's a hasty guy with prowess. It's looking a lot like the mono red of old. Because of how our deck is built, we will be a bit slow to open up this can, but open it we will. Let's go grab a forest. With any luck, our flanker will help us find more lands. We draw the end and will pass the turn as quickly as possible to make them think we don't have any plays. They hit us with a shock. Very surprising, I know. They follow up with a Trash Tronaut. That has tapped them out. They send it, and now is the time for our flanker. On top, we have a pair of lands. We want the swamp, and another land after that gets us to 5 mana, so we'll keep the passage as well. We'll make the trade. All that for a net 0 damages to us this turn. We'll save the end for something bigger and much more tasty than a Trash Tronaut. This guy gets sandbagged on the chin and sent off for being horrible. Speaking of tasty, a Hired Claw is definitely worth sniping. Only mono red would keep a 2-lander and toss out cards like they don't matter. They're going to send it, and now is when we strike. This hammer falls hard on their little claw. It's going to send him and his entire clan to Chomp City for the rest of the game. They hit us with another shock. Had they used that on their claw, it would have saved his other 3 buddies. We're going to smell you later, Claw. We draw a Lookout, and that little guy right there can get us to 6 mana, and we can play out our top end. Our deck has been fully unlocked, just like the belt buckle on their pants. Let's grab some Burn/Slash removals. That's weapons we can use against them, as well as 2 cards they will no longer have. They go with their show-off. That Trash Tronaut is so bad, it's never getting played again this game. They hit us with a Burst Lightning. That will be enough to put us to 6. Only 3 more shocks. We're going to make sure we get to 6 mana, and we'll even leave mana up for one of their removals. Wiping out their men with their cards is so sweet. Sometimes you get to have your cake and eat it too. At long last, their Trashtronaut will see play. No, wait. They drew the land they needed for their OJ. Do the gloves fit? Fire in the OJ hole. We're throwing down our first Odin. Their life total means nothing when Odin is involved. Fear the Reaper. We'll send Wrench in for damages. The Lookout can block hasty men, even ones with flying. They drew another OJ. That being the only thing they can play out, it's going to be GG's. Extra cheese. Thanks to Odin not being legendary, we can have 2 or more of them in play at the same time. It's time to buck up, Buttercup. Odin is about to lop the head off of this mono red. Let's get a G's in there before they splode. The Trashtronaut, lol. This is Modelo. If you're going to have that avatar, you should be named Kermit. We get a Shuffler special with the heavy end of our deck. Keep. Just kidding. There is no way. Mull. Then we get a 3-lander with a flanker at least. This is when the Shuffler is going to start being problematic. We'll keep. We'll send the turtles on down. With what we have, we can't do double black and double white. One of these passages has to get us a swamp, and the other has to fetch a forest. They warp in a Riddler. Maybe they are on an airbending deck. I play one for fun, and it can be powerful, especially with High Noon. We draw an angry outhouse, but we want to go with the flanker. If we can get 1 more land, we'll have enough for Wrench. Their play is a cosmonaut. It's vodka, annoying music, and Cossack dances for our comrade. Thanks, bro. That's what I wanted. On top, we have an Ascension and another angry outhouse. We do want both. It's only unfortunate that we didn't get an untapped land. We'll send their cosmonaut into orbit with our Ascension. Enjoy the view from up there, comrade. Their cosmonaut parachutes back in and they can get back to doing Cossack dances. They quickly follow up with a siren. Gotta love that chicken scream. It's so good we get it in triplicate. We have no plays for reals this time. Your go, my bro. They pumped their chicken. What do you have to say, bro? Yeah, I hear you. They send it, and we'll go ahead and trade with one of their tokens. It's an unfair trade, but we will want to minimize their men while we wait for that 6th mana. Six mana achieved, but we'll drop in our Wrench and see what they've got. They consult. That's going to save them, not a thing. Let's see what they've got. It's a pile, but maybe there is something we could use. Wait, that's an Elspeth in the back of the bus. We'll let out a victory scream. The rest is not special, but at least we can deny them a Riddler. They plop down a Warden of the Sky. Remember when he used to be a force? They follow up with another Riddler. It's getting warped in, so no worries about it joining their screaming Air Force yet. They send it, and we'll throw a block. We're going to smash all men anyways. They fire off an unsummon, but they use it to save their Warden. That's their key comrade, apparently. I would have thought that their cosmonaut would be the one holding the title belt. Most valuable comrade. Well, that's because they have another one. They've started to bombo off. I don't know if I can take this. Lucky for us, we have a second Rise of Sozin, and we can make them soil their trow a second time. We'll eliminate any further Riddlers from this game. And it looks like they only play 3. I was sure they'd have the full set. This time we'll take out the cosmonaut. There will be no more vodka and Cossack dancing from here on out. That's it. Rest in peace, comrade. We'll go with a Terminus, then we can follow up with our second Ascension. But we won't airbend their Riddler. Instead, we'll airbend our Sozin. The train of board wipes will end the game in our favor. They hit our airbending trigger with a detect intrusion. That's a disappointment, but we'll be able to get their men with Sozin. We're going at them from all sides. They drop in their Warden. It's their most valuable comrade. They follow up with a Sheltered by Ghosts. It's the one flaw in their plan. They send it so they won't be able to block Sozin. We'll go with their Elspate. Among her abilities is the ability to destroy men with mana value 3 or more. And that includes the Riddler. We'll get our Ascension back and we'll airbend their Warden. Once we get in with Sozin, we can pay mana to get men on our side right out of their grave. All we can do is pay 3, and that's what we'll do. Gotta love that scream. Now we've got our own chicken Air Force. Modelo is not loving life at the moment. Let's give a chicken scream for his hurt ego. That's GG's, extra comrade cheese. And that, my friends, wait, is another satisfied comrade.